Tech and Talk of the Day, September the 8th, 10:19 in the morning. I'll just share this with you here. Some of you probably already know about it. On July the 30th of this year, I posted a video with a question as a title concerning pin pointers, and maybe we need higher frequency employed on a pin pointer to help locate targets. I had never really ever seen anybody on any forum, to include the Dankowski Detector Forum, ever talk about this. It's always been about detectors, not much about pin pointers and frequency. On September the 4th, Mr. Dankowski, in this same thread on his forum, comes back and posts a comment, "In the works." So between July the 30th and September the 4th, crickets. So he says in the works, so I gave him a recommendation for a name. Maybe they ought to name the damn thing after me. Lo and behold, he comes back and says, oh, he's been wanting to get this done for 9 years. Well, I find that a bit strange, because the damn Equinox hadn't even been out for 9 years. The only detectors that would actually find the small shit might have been a Fisher Goldbug. That machine wasn't ultra popular. The Deus 1 with a HF coil, and then the Equinox when it materialized. Of course, then the Manicore can probably find even smaller stuff, and so can this HF2 coil on the Deus 2. Now, I have been told, I believe, or have seen somebody make reference that Minelab monitors Mr. Dankowski's forum. Yeah, that's why I put that damn comment in that video over there about that pin pointer. But I didn't single out any manufacturer. I want them all to see it, you know, brainstorm. Is it worthwhile? Would it be popular? Would it sell? I believe it will. If smartly engineered, with the right features, and have the buttons in the right position. Don't put the damn buttons on the end of that damn pin pointer like damn Nocta did. That's bullshit. So the ball didn't seem to get moving on this until the old sharpshooter went to damn YouTube and went to damn Dankowski's forum. And I must have lit a fire under somebody's ass, or they actually said, damn, this old boy's got a point. There's a void in the industry. A better pin pointer could be made and be sold at a reasonable price maybe, and people would buy it. So enough on that. That's the truth as far as I know. That's what's been said. And what's been done by me. I can't say what's been done by anybody else. Now let's talk Vortex. Vortex VX9 with version 9.11. Calabash and I had about a 2-hour conversation about that machine yesterday. And if we could have recorded this conversation, or if we would have recorded this conversation, and we do this with other models detectors too, we just don't single out one manufacturer's product. We've talked a lot about this HF2 coil on this JS2 and other models, to include the Legend. And we're even speculating on this Legend too. But most of the conversation yesterday involved the Vortex VX9 with version 9.11. I don't have the Vortex. Calabash does. He was doing testing while we were exchanging comments. We were suggesting things to each other to look at on this model machine with that version update. So I'm going to share with you some of the things we discovered. He may show this in a video, okay? Number one, seems the backlight on that machine is global for setting wise, except in the custom slot. It'll be on in the regular program, but not in the custom. You'll have to go in there and turn it on. I find that a bit strange. Number two, when you transition from multi-salt to single frequency, your disc and discrimination seams will carry over. However, if you transition from multi-frequency to single frequency, your discrimination in disc is lost. Number three, this is sort of a biggie here because you could get tripped up in the wild with that machine. And I'm going to have something to say about this a little later in this video. This new two-tones function. If you use two tones on that machine, for example, with a disc, I think the highest you can run that disc is 81 in two tones. You can only run it to 39 in 3 and 5 tones. So if you're running 81 disc in two tones, if you transition with that machine to 3 or 5 tones and you go back to two tones, whatever the disc setting you had in 3 and 5 tones is what the machine's going to go to in two tones. So by changing tones on that machine, you can change the disc, but it's going to depend on how high you've got it set running two tones. If it's over 39, it's going to definitely change, because the max disc is 39, from what I understand, in 3 and 5 tones. Which, believe it or not, that's the iron range. You can't disc that machine using 3 and 5 tones above the iron range. Okay, so just be advised, if you update that and you use two tones, you know, you could get tripped up in the wild. So here's my conclusion. Here's what I suspect. I can't prove this, but it does make one wonder. And I've talked about this in previous videos when it comes to engineering detectors, updatable detectors. Did Garrett put themselves in a box with this machine when they were on the drawing board with it, doing the initial engineering, setting up the parameters? Why am I asking this question? Because there's not been an update with that machine allowing for higher discs to be run in 3 or 5 tones, to my knowledge. And they have not allowed the tone breaks to be moved in 3 or 5 tones. Hence, the workaround for this, since they put themselves in a box, was to create two tones which will at least go to disc level 81, which I find strange too. Why not allow the disc range to be set wherever with the two tones? Why cut it off at 81? Now, when you're using that two tones on that machine, anything that reports under the disc setting is going to give the iron tone if iron tone is on. Okay? I believe I'm telling you correctly there. So what I can't remember in Calabash and I's discussion is if you're running two tones, I don't think you can hear the iron with iron tone and get rid of the lower conductive non-ferrous trash. You can't do it with that machine. And according to what Calabash told me, you can't save a thin coins program in the custom slot. Something about the disc, the way they've got it set up. He may talk about this though. Okay? So I think that's the reason for the 2 tones. You can't move your tone brakes with a 3-tone. You can't run the disc higher than 39. So for select digging, 3 and 5 tones are sort of a joke. Because depending on where, then the tone brakes are fixed by the factory. No adjustment. Why haven't they done an update on that? That would be the best update they could do on that machine. Allow for the disc to be set anywhere using 3 or 5 tones, and allow for the tone brakes to at least be moved if they're not going to offer tone pitch adjustment per bend. Okay? So yeah, we shook it down a little bit on the phone yesterday, you know, and we do this because we share information, and if any future models comes out, this gives us some other things to consider to look at for possible shortcomings. All right? I want every manufacturer to be all they can be. All right? That's going to conclude the detecting talk of the day. Let me turn this camera back on. I forgot something. Here's something else that's mysterious on the Vortex, and I don't even understand why. I mean, did Garrett again paint themselves in a box? Seems at turnoff on that machine. Now, I'm not talking about saving a program. I'm talking about just turning the machine off after you set it up. Every setting seems on that machine saves, except for notch and discrimination. And notch is one of the things that can take the longest to set up, depending. Yet the machine won't do it. And there's no update been done to make it do it. Is it possible that it can't be done? I don't know. Now that concludes the video.